Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. Our focus over the next couple of minutes is going to be the countdown. A countdown not just to a touchdown, but a countdown to history. Because today, well, ladies and gentlemen, today when the moon does come out, today when that same Eid ka chand, that same Karwa Chauth ka chand, that same no chand on Amavasya, all of that, when that chand comes out tonight, when that moon shines bright, India's footsteps marks are going to be on that moon. That's the story that we're tracking. It's Chandrayaan-3's countdown to landing. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague Varghese P. Abraham, and we're also going to be joined by several other scientists as well. Let's introduce the guest we have on the show with us. Group Captain V.N. Jha is with us on the panel. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Always a pleasure to be speaking to you. Group Captain Jha, the entire scanning process, the infrared abilities, the artificial intelligence on the Vikram lander. What do you have to say about that? Last 15 minutes of artificial intelligence.
A very good morning, Kabir. Wishing you, your team, all your viewers a very happy landing of the Chandrayaan-3 at the designated time period that it is slotted for. Yes, what you mentioned is a very pertinent point. You know, that 15 minutes or 18 minutes of the precision, some people call it terror, a period of terror. I don't like to call it period of terror. Actually, those 18 minutes are going to be the scientific marvel of all the brains that they have been working on in the ISRO for the perfection of the landing process. So that 18 minutes are the scientific marvel period. What is going to happen is ISRO will take a call maybe an hour or two before that period, whether everything is perfect, all the instruments, systems, subsystems, everything is absolutely normal, and the environment where the landing is going to be there is normal. So having taken that call, they would have by now already done two very important things. One, that out of the entire stretch of the 10 square kilometer area which is designated for landing, that is 4 kilometer length and 2.4 kilometers of the breadth. So out of those 10 square kilometers, every pass that Chandrayaan has been making in the last few days from the close quarters, that is 25 kilometers,
Right.
They must have joined all these pictures and made a 3D sort of impression that out of that 10 square kilometer, which is the spot which is likely to be almost nearly say 100%, that it is absolutely flat. Remember, lander has got just a span of 2 meters of its legs. So it needs absolutely flat space of 2 meters to land. And
Right.
then the slope with the ramp opening up, the rover will come out of it and do the analysis part of it. So that is what is required for the absolute marvel of the soft landing spot that we are looking for. So for this, as I told you, in the last few days, many of the high resolution photograph would have been taken of this area, and ISRO by now would have worked out that out of this 10 square kilometer, which is that area which looks to be absolutely perfect. And that would be fed into the computer of the Chandrayaan-3 for its automated landing in that 18 minutes of time. Secondly, they would have worked out the slope. Initially we were thinking that Chandrayaan will be lowered to 100 into 30 kilometers, but actually it is in 134 into 25 kilometers.
25, right.
So
we got those images. We're playing exactly those images. I mean, look at how close the module is to the lunar surface, Group Captain.
Absolutely. So from these close quarters, we can make out which is that spot that we are looking for. Mind you, they must avoid landing in the crater, because if they happen to land in the crater, it may be soft landing, but then sunlight will not reach there. And if sunlight doesn't reach there, as such it is the South Pole,
Right.
sunlight is at a slant. And if you happen to land inside the crater, you won't get the sunlight. And if you don't get the sunlight, your solar systems, solar
Right.
panels will not
They
be
won't
active.
work. They
You
won't
won't
work.
have, they won't work. So obviously, in this 10 square kilometer, the area which is not in the crater, it is outside the crater. So that is a spot where ISRO scientists must be, putting everything together to land in that area. Select a small piece of land there, and in addition, leave that last moment decision to Chandrayaan-3 logic. That means the moment
Can we really trust
ISRO
that
gives
logic?
go,
Can we really trust that logic, Group Captain?
absolutely, absolutely. We have trusted that logic. It has worked last time and it will work this time as well. See,
What
what
are
is
you
going to
rummaging
happen is,
through? Do you have something to show the viewers?
yes, I was trying to find out the slope that I had worked out. Doesn't matter. So in that slope, the peak of the slope is going to be that perihelion, that is 25 kilometers of the path it is making it. From that 25 kilometers, it is now going to come down at a slope. There is a stage of hard braking, there is a stage of slow braking.
Right.
In the hard braking, all four engines maybe at 75% or so of its thrust will
Right.
be slowing it down. Right now, its velocity is about 1.64 kilometers per second. That works out to be, 5,900 some 84 odd kilometers per hour. So
That's still
that
quite
has to
fast. That
go
is still quite fast, Group Captain.
very fast. That is very fast. So that has to be slowed to almost zero by the time it reaches that spot that ISRO would have worked out in the last 2, 3 days or 4 days with the close high resolution photograph and working that 3D model of it. So that slope will be zeroing onto that spot. When Chandrayaan slows down, when it is slowing down, the legs are at the below the center of mass. So obviously, if you hang it normally, it will hang it like this. That is the center of gravity will put the legs in the resultant direction of gravity. So normally, if you put it anywhere, the legs will hang down. But in those moments of high speed breaking down, the gravity keeps the leg on the other side. That is how everyone calls it retro burn. That means it will be
Retro, yeah,
slowing down.
retrofiring. Right.
So it will be slowing down the velocity. So as it keeps on coming, the orientation of those engines of the legs remains in the resultant path of the velocity. It will continue coming down till the time when it becomes almost zero. Then the leg is pointing downward. The engines will be pointing downwards, and from that altitude, it is supposed to come to the zero velocity uh,
800 meters
at
above
about
the.
800 meters that we have heard, but there is a there is a margin of errors there that we
Right.
give it to the Chandrayaan itself computer to make a decision at what altitude should it hover. It should hover at an altitude where it doesn't kick out much of the dust, but the camera has a look underneath. There are three types of altimeter into it. One is a radio altimeter. We call it, some RASA altimeter. Second is the laser altimeter that is also there, and above all, the camera also gives you almost like a 3D picture, high resolution. So that looks underneath, and it tells you that this is a designated spot. How it looks. If it is looking smooth as it was anticipated at the time of feeding those data, then it will come down gradually, slowly, and make a landing. In case coming over it, like what happened in the Apollo 11 flight, that Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, when they were over the spot of the landing, they found that it is not a smooth spot. It is at a slant, heavy slant. Had they landed on that, they would have toppled down the entire craft. So this time also, that logic is given to the Chandrayaan-3 in its computer, that should you make a decision over that area that it is not a perfect slope, then
Right.
you maneuver itself, hover around And this hover is not like a helicopter, where the rotor blade keeps rotating in the air. There is no air there. So all those four thrusters,
Right.
that should be kept on, even if at say 25% or 30% of the exhaust. So with that, it will continue hover and start coming down over the area that it has taken a decision that this looks to be a plane surface. Again, I repeat, it needs only 2 meters of the stretch into which the legs have to sit. So if you have
So
10
it is
meters
going
of
to
the
be
stretch,
critical. It is going to be critical. And this time
that
around,
will
Group Captain, the legs are also made a little bit different. They're more shock absorbent, isn't it?
absolutely. Absolutely. So it has given the margin of error for the vertical landing, vertical velocity to be less than 2 meters per second. And in case if it is less than 2 meters or even slightly higher than that, there are even shock absorbers in the leg.
Right,
So
absolutely.